What's up guys, Emil here back in the studio. Sorry it's been quite a long time since I've made a video. I've been traveling for the past couple weeks and I've been getting really anxious that I haven't been in the studio and haven't been able to keep up my skills as a producer. But I'm back now. I'm back in the studio. I've already spent 2 days working on this as well as some other music, some of my personal music. And today I'm super stoked to show you my remake of Loneliness by Brooks. I'm not sure if it's actually called Loneliness. Future House Music just posted on their Instagram a preview of the track, and I think it actually might be called Lonely. In any case, I had made an old version of the track, and it sounded okay, but compared to the new version, I just wanted to start a brand new remake. So I started this. I'm really happy with how it turned out. So let's take a listen and then dive into all the sound design. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and mute a couple things. I'm going to mute the drums, and I'm also going to mute the basses and chords, and so we can just focus on the leads. In this track, the leads are, I would say, the most important element, and there's some really interesting things that I've actually done with these leads. So first, let's go ahead and just, I'm just going to mute these couple things, and then I'll show you a couple of the layers that I've created for the leads. Okay, so this is the main synth that I'm using. I created it with Serum, as you can see. I have one solid in the center, just one voice, and then I have 9 voices of unison on the second oscillator, which are more detuned and sort of out to the side, but they're a lot lower in the mix. I have some distortion, EQ, a couple different things in the processing, but nothing too complicated. And so that one alone sounds like this. And then I just have a bunch of these other ones. I'll just play them really quickly to sort of fill out the rest of the leads. There's a bunch of leads that I've done here, and most of these are just from my sound bank. Those are all the leads, and now let's just talk about processing for a little bit. I can actually turn off the effects and you can hear what it sounds like. Versus here's with the effects on. As you can hear, it's just a lot more distorted. I've taken some low end out and obviously a lot of reverb too. So here's what I have going on for my effects chain. I have some EQ boosting some of the mids and some of the highs. I have some distortion, a compressor to sort of lengthen out the sound, a transient processor. I actually took a little of the attack away. Camel Crusher, this just makes it really fat, gives some compression and distortion. This is a really interesting plugin. If you guys didn't know, you can actually, FL Studio has a built-in mid-side EQ. It's not a direct plugin, but it's Patcher, and they have a preset for it in here. It's called mid-side EQ. And so what that allows you to do is you have control over your mid frequencies or your center frequencies, all your mono frequencies individually, and then you have control over your stereo frequencies. So that separates out the mono and stereo signals. And this is a really interesting way that I'm using this plugin, and I'll show you that in just a second. Then I have some reverb, which is actually controlled. I have peak controller and reverb, so that's ducking down when the signal plays. And I actually have Camel Crusher, another Camel Crusher on a little bit lower value, as well as OTT after the reverb. And what that does is that affects the reverb as well. So that really makes it so that when the reverb hits, the reverb is kind of more intense. If I were to put this after these, the reverb would be a lot less intense. Okay, so with all that said, let's talk about some of these automation clips and what they're actually doing to the lead. So here, this first one it's just a pitch bend. It's literally just for one note. If I didn't have it, it would be, so that makes that pitch bend. Let me turn on this volume automation too. This volume automation, I've talked about this a lot before, but what it does is it just pretty much I'm automating the volume on very specific notes. So like this, for instance, would sound very sloppy without it. And if I automate the volume, then it sounds very tied together. So that's that. That makes a big difference. Then I also have this, which is a panning automation. And that's just used on this one tiny section here, just to make these notes go to the right and left ear. So without it, it sounds like this. It's just in the center, and if I put it on, you can hear it sort of throws the note out to the side. This is a delay, which is actually kind of weird. I just have it in the second section on this. Yeah, it's a very weird plugin to use, but I think it's actually Serum that it's automating just some like chorus and stuff. So very subtle thing. Here is the really interesting thing, and this is what I was talking about with the Patcher plugin, the mid-side EQ. So what I've done is this right here is an automation clip that actually controls the volume level of the side signal. So how I did that is I actually went in here, not on the lead bus, but I have a second bus that the leads go to called lead effects. And this is what I did. So instead of loading up a mid-side EQ, I just loaded up a mid-side. So what the mid-side does is allows you to go like this. So I'm just automating the volume here of the mid and side. So you can see on the side channel, I have it, the gain is boosted a little bit. And so what I'm doing is I'm automating this amount of that plugin. And so what happens is when this automation goes up, it raises the volume of just the side signal. So the mono signal in the center stays the same volume, but on the sides, the stereo width increases in volume. And so I'm not really sure how Brooks did this in the original track. It might be like a delay, it might be a reverb, I don't know. But if you listen to the original track here, it actually like raises up on very specific notes. The side signals get a lot louder. And so notice on like this note, if I turn this off, it's pretty subtle, but hopefully you can hear it's kind of like making the lead sound a lot wider. So let me play this really quick without one more time. And if I turn this back on, it just like accents these notes way out to the side. So pretty subtle thing, but those are the little details that make the difference. Also, to help accent the lead, I have a couple little bits of white noise. This thing right here just sort of sucks you into the next part of the lead. Same thing here. I actually have a little bit of white noise as well as some reverb reverses. And then up here, I also have another lead, which is playing an octave higher. So without it, it sounds pretty boring and doesn't really change much. And if I add this in, it just gives it a whole lot more energy. Okay, I did add some chords in this mix, but I'm not even sure if there's any chords in the real context of the original song. So these are like super, super low in the mix. So I'm actually going to turn them up so you can even hear them. So that's what they sound like. They're just really simple chords, some saw chords. I took away a lot of the high end, added a little reverb, and that's kind of it. And let me put this volume back to how it was, and you'll be able to hear just how quiet they are in the mix. I mean, it's like you can literally barely hear them, but I just put them there to fill out a tiny bit more of the frequencies. Okay, let's talk about the bass. The bass, I used a lot of presets, as you can see. Let me play this. That's probably like 14 or 15 presets or something crazy. All of these are from my sound bank, so I just went through and layered a crap ton of sounds to make that nice fat bass. And it just plays along. Of course, I have a sub as well. And then, as you guys know, the thing that really makes the Brooks bass stand out is having all these little effects, these little one-shots and stuff. So right here, I have some horns. And horns here as well. So those horn shots make a big difference. Then I have these as well. And then I also made these couple little basses in Serum, I believe. These like super fat, distorted sounds. Just a sine wave with some white noise, and I distorted the crap out of it. There's one of them, and then I just have a little saw here that's helping that as well. So with all of that combined, here's what the basses sound like. Okay, so moving on to drums. I actually didn't spend a lot of time making this remix, so my drums are pretty simple and straightforward, but I really didn't feel like this track needed a whole lot. I'm sure in the actual original track there's a lot more effects and sweeps and different things, but pretty much I just have this kick. This nice big beefy kick. I have a couple claps layered, and literally one down sweep. And then the only other thing that I have here is I just have a couple cymbals and things for the fill, and then some offbeat hi-hats for the second part. And a little tiny riser here. Okay guys, well thanks so much for sticking around. Really hope you like this remake. And as always, if you want to download this FLP, it will be available down in the description as well. If I forgot anything, if you want to ask me any questions, you can either comment down below or reach out to me on Instagram at AmelMusicOfficial. Again, thank you so much for watching, and without further ado, here is the full track.